Hi, I'm Caneel Joyce, and this is Aloud. Thank you for showing up here today to improve yourself and better serve those who rely on you to lead them, whether they know it or not. Today, I'm talking about one of my favorite topics and truthfully kind of a nerdy obsession, which is the morning routine. Now, maybe we've heard a lot about this in the past, and I want to talk about specifically why it's important to you as one who is fearlessly attempting to lead consciously. So, as you've learned on this podcast, one of the most important skills of a conscious leader is asking yourself, not only am I above or below the line, where am I, but also, how did I create this current situation that is in front of me? So sometimes, it seems like bad stuff happens, right? It seems like we get results we don't want, or things are happening to us that are not what we wish. And it's really, really easy to go the line when we're not holding our own power and our own leadership to say, well, none of this is my responsibility. I didn't have any part in creating this situation. This truly happened to me, and it's somebody else's fault, basically. However, that is a completely disempowering stance, as you know, and it's not at all helpful in resolving whatever created that issue permanently. And that's our goal. So, where do morning routines fit into this? I want you to think about the last crummy day you had. Maybe you got into a fight with somebody at work or a spouse. Maybe you just felt really sorry for yourself all day. You felt like entitled and grumpy and you weren't getting what you wanted. Or perhaps you just found yourself in reactive mode all day. And I know, because I've gotten the chance to speak with so many of you listeners, that reactivity is kind of the enemy, if there is one. We're really all, it seems, trying to not be reactive. So when you think about this last day that comes to mind, and see if you can rewind a little bit further to your morning. What happened that morning? In my own experience, chances are, if a day really seems crummy a lot of the day, probably it started that morning. And it would be easy for me to say, oh, it's because this bad thing happened in the morning and somebody woke me up, or I had a bad night of sleep, or I had a really early morning flight. Now, all of those things have happened to me, right? But I had a part in creating them. Did you start your morning on your phone? Did you start your morning by reading the news? Did you decide to press snooze a whole bunch of times or let things that were not really joyful or pleasurable to you be the thing that you had to jump right into? Did you go to bed way too late to kind of start your day off on the right foot? All of these are really good questions. I really do think it often starts in the morning. And I know from, my own work experience that if I begin my work day by working and getting straight into email, oh boy, I am not at my best at all. I'm just not as creative or present. So that's why I care about morning routines. I found it to be personally, for myself, the number one most important practice of leading consciously, of leading as my best self in my zone of genius, in full presence and flow from above the line, in a way where I am of service to those who care about me, first to those who need my leadership. So I've been experimenting a lot with my morning routine lately. This is something I tend to revise, honestly, a couple of times a year because it's fun and I like variety. And for me, I've noticed I'm much more likely to do a morning routine of some kind if I, A, give myself permission to change it, and then B, continue to inspire myself about what new thing could I bring in? How could I make it more fun and more meaningful to me and more in line with my own, system, my own body's needs? So I'm not a jump out of bed kind of person. I am a night owl. I am a total night owl. I love being up all night long. I have young children. That's not really a viable option for me. So I have been working on becoming an early riser. And I was telling this to my husband, Roy, last night, and he said, I love how you said that. He said, you didn't say you're working on waking up early. You said you're working on becoming an early morning riser. It's the being, not just the doing. And here I wanted to share with you some of the little tools in my toolkit. And this is just a fun grab bag, which I'm hoping can inspire you. And I also just really want you to give yourself permission to be inspired by the routine that is best for you. And if that is a 5-minute thing, fine. If it's you in a bubble bath, fine. Or just sitting and putting your feet on the ground, fine. But really just pay attention to how are you creating the results you get through the day by your morning. So here's some of the stuff I've been trying. You want to check it out? I'm going to share a bunch of these resources with you at aloudpodcast.com. I'm going to provide links to everything. This is like a total candy treat for me. And if you're obsessed like me, it will be for you too. So I'm excited. Okay, so a couple of things that I've got going. These are two of my long-time favorites. I'm going to show you this on the videos. If you're watching this video, which we link to in the show notes, or you can get it from the show description, all these podcasts are on YouTube. I'm going to hold it up for the screen so you can see them. My number one favorite morning routine tool is the morning pages exercise from Julia Cameron's Artist Way. It is so simple. It simply is writing in a journal. You don't even have to have a journal. You can write on a page or a napkin, and you can literally throw it in the fire. So this is the most non-precious form of journaling you've ever done. If you have not yet read or done The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, I highly, highly recommend it. And I would say if you don't want to take it all on, because it is quite a lot, the most important piece of it, in my view, is the morning page exercise. And so here's how it works. You grab some paper. I really have tried this on screens. I've tried it in, Evernote and Day One and a whole bunch of different journaling apps. Nothing, it's nowhere near close to as effective. So here's what you do. You get some paper and you're going to write 3 pages, longhand with a pen. And I emphasize pen because I want to encourage you to not be precious at all. You're not editing this. You're not going to erase anything. You are going to make your pen keep moving. And all you do is first thing in the morning when you wake up, when you're still groggy, ideally, and you're kind of in that like half dream state, the very first thing you do is you write 3 pages. You keep your pen moving the whole entire time, and it's complete stream of consciousness. You can expect the first page or 2, especially as you're just getting started with this routine, might just be nothing but, kind of negative, like ranting, venting, listing a bunch of problems, or saying, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I still don't know what to write. I wish I weren't writing this right now. I don't like this morning pages exercise. I hate being up this early, blah, blah, blah. It's okay. Keep writing. Keep going. Keep going. Usually by page 3, you're going to hit some breakthroughs. And I have found that one of the magical things about the morning pages is whatever kind of tricky problem I'm working on in the back of my mind or that is consuming my whole life, if I sit down and I write my morning pages, I'm not even trying to solve that problem. Sometimes the answer magically arrives. You can feel free to draw in here if drawing is how you express kind of just your spur of the moment thoughts, or you can mind map. But the point is to fill up those pages. And I do like the writing piece of it because it forces me to not be too pensive or to edit too much. But sometimes I do end up sketching like solutions to, design problems. If I'm designing a room or mapping out a strategy. Now, I wouldn't sit down intending to do any of those things, and that's definitely the point. But sometimes that's where my writing ends up taking me, and then I find a solution magically. So that's number 1, and that's the cheapest, simplest thing I can possibly offer you. You don't need to buy anything as long as you own a pen and something to write on. And Julia says you can toss them in the fire. This is not about writing a book. It's not about being a good writer. It is about getting stuff out of your head and getting clarity. It's transformative. Just try it. It's magic. Okay, so that's that one. Second most long-standing tool in my toolkit. I've mentioned this one before several times. So I'm holding up right here a 5-minute journal. And this journal is a beautifully designed, elegant, very simple practice. I'll show you a blank page in here. And I always thank my brother-in-law, Devin Keltz, who first introduced me to this tool. He gave me one for Christmas several years ago, and I actually let it sit around for a while before I opened it up. And when I started doing it, I just was totally hooked. And super exciting. We are actually going to be having the founders of Intelligent Change, who created this journal. They're going to be coming on this podcast soon. And I'm very excited about that. So here it is. There are 2 parts to each page. I'll hold it up real quick. You can see it. Okay. So Basically, you answer 3 questions in the morning. What are you grateful for? What would make it great? And a daily affirmation. You make one up. And then in the evening, you list 3 amazing things that happened that day, and you note how you could have made that day even better. There's always a nice little inspiring quote at the top, and then once a week you get a challenge. You don't need to do this every day. The pages are not dated. You date them yourself. And so I sometimes skip days, or I choose to do something else with my morning routine. I'll get into that in a second. So again, you don't need to be precious about it. You just sit down and you answer the questions. I personally, if I needed to fill this out morning and evening, I think what would happen is I would keep forgetting where my journal was, or I would realize it was upstairs by my bed. And if I go back upstairs, my children might wake up, and then I would lose that chance to have alone time in the morning, which is really critical for me and my own peace. So I do it all at one time. I do it all in the morning. I just complete last night's questions first thing, and I reflect on the day before, and then I dive into the morning questions. Totally amazingly transformative. Sounds so simple. Really, really works. I've also found there's a magic in this. So here's my pro tip. When you're answering the question of what would make today great, reach so much higher than you think is even realistic at all. Like, say something ridiculous, like that would fall out of the air. Like, someone will call me and invite me to be on Oprah. Okay, I just said that. I just put it in the universe. I wonder if it's going to happen. That happens sometimes with Oprah. But when I put big things, I found that that's when they really start coming true, which is kind of incredible. And very, very often when I reflect on what great thing happened today, I'm drawing an arrow directly to the thing that I asked for in the morning. It's bananas, you guys. It really works. So I love this tool. That is a journal. Okay, here's a new one I'm trying out, and it's called the Morning Sidekick Journal. I'm really into this one. I'm like 3 days in. But the Morning Sidekick Journal is created by Habit Nest. I will link to it again in the show notes. And it's really nice because it actually explains to you a lot of the benefits of having a morning routine. And what it really focuses on is helping you develop the habit of waking up earlier. And for me, that's been a very, very, very supportive. For instance, this morning, I knew I'd only gotten about 5 hours of sleep. And I remember the little sketch in yesterday's encouragement section telling me that for the first week, it's going to be hell and it's going to be hard. And I'm not going to want to wake up early, but like I have to just commit to pushing through and consider it a 1 or a 0. Either I did the routine and I got up when I intended to, and I set that intention the day before, or I didn't. 1 or 0, binary, very simple. So I just got out and I said, it doesn't matter how good I feel while I do this. It doesn't matter how well I do it. It doesn't matter how long I do any of the things I planned on doing. What matters is that I do it. And so, yesterday, for example, I had planned on doing a lot of different things. I wanted to walk, I wanted to meditate, I wanted to journal, I wanted to drink coffee and read something inspiring. And I did all of those things, but my meditation only lasted 30 seconds. My walk was only 10 minutes long. It wasn't the half hour I planned. It wasn't the 15-minute meditation I planned. It didn't matter. I still got a gold star that day, and that was great for me. So I really, really love this tool. And what's neat is that every single day you get a new kind of set of instructions and new questions to answer. So you can really track your progress here, but at the same time, it doesn't feel monotonous like so many habit trackers that I've tried to use before. I need variety. That's kind of how I'm wired. And so for me, I'm always excited to see what's the next thing I'm going to get to read tomorrow, and what are the questions I'm going to be answering. And so I don't need it to be monotonous for me to have consistency in developing this routine over the course of 66 days, which is the length of this journal. They also happen to have a lot of other interesting journals Habit Nest offers. So there's ones around bodybuilding I've seen, and a few other topics. So I'll link to all of them in the show notes, and you can just check out and see what the options are. So really love this one. As you can tell, I'm a morning nerd. I like to wake up and write. I want to sit, read, write. Maybe it's because I'm not a morning person. I need my coffee. I want to sit there and like gradually wake up and watch the sun either come up or be there, depending on when I wake up. And then I'll head out and I'll get some exercise. If I do it all, maybe I'll get my exercise later. Doesn't matter to me. Most important thing is I want that time to kind of get my head on straight. Okay, 2 more. This one is more of a creative option if you're going to also be kind of interested in down with a pen. And it's having a great coloring book. Now, you can find prompts to do a sketch a day or a fiction story a day. You can find those and then you can just do them anywhere. I also love the simplicity of having a beautiful coloring book. And there's so many great adult coloring books. My favorite source for these is a website called jetpens.com. I will link to it. And this one my mom just gave me, so I wanted to share it because Cynthia Joyce is one of your favorite people. I know, she's an artist. Okay, so this is called the Golden Ratio Coloring Book. It is so beautiful. The Golden Ratio is a magical number that shows up all throughout art and science and nature, and so it has a mystical quality to it. And this one happens to be just a bunch of different images, all of which are based on and derivatives of the golden circle. So a lot of them look like mandalas or patterns, or some of them are a little bit craftsman in style, or MC Escher in style as well. Very space age, lots of variety. That one's really fun. I have some watercolor markers I love using with it. And my daughter likes to sit and do it with me too. So if she wakes up, this is a good parenting tip for morning routines. If you know that your kids are unpredictable in their wake up time and it's very hard to beat them to the punch for whatever reason, having a coloring book next to you when you're doing yours, especially if you're willing to do it with them, is a great way to get them involved and to see that, there is such a thing as a morning that's not strictly a series of rush demands where you're constantly just needing to provide for them. And I think that's really, really healthy for them to see that, hey, mom, dad, they take care of themselves in the morning, and it's okay for them to have their time and their space. And it's a practice, definitely getting them used to that, but it really is important and it pays off. Last journaling thing I'll mention, and then I'll talk briefly about other options. All right, so this one I just picked up. It's, I'm sure you guys have heard of a guy named Brandon Burchard. He's what he calls himself a high performance coach. And he's kind of a YouTube star and, mega millionaire, and has a book that he actually gives out for free. I think you just pay for shipping. It's called High Performance Habits. And there's an audio version of this as well. It's based on a lot of research that he's done where he talks about the habits of people who are consistently high performers, including that they're also, vibrant and well and happy. And he breaks it down for you into, what are those key habits? He's actually got a journal. And that's how I got into it, because I was just researching a whole bunch of different journals. I'm working on creating my own for you guys. And wow, this one is really detailed. It's also humongous. I think this is A4 size. It's bigger than regular letter size paper. And it's leather bound and big. And it's not realistic for me to use this as a throw in my bag kind of a planner, but I think there's a lot of good stuff in it. He's got daily, weekly, and monthly pages, and he also has you take an assessment of yourself. So I did that. You can get a score online. You can get it on his website. I will link to that for you. And then from there, kind of where you want to focus in developing these key 6 habits that he has. So see if I can remember them. The 6 habits are clarity, productivity, generating energy. And then there's influence, courage, and necessity. That's not the correct order, but you get it. So this journal, I think if you were to sit down and fill it out in the morning, which I haven't started doing yet, it's going to be my next experiment, I think would really, really transform you. So if you're say an Enneagram type 3, a very high achievement oriented person, and you really love to just be at your best, and I think many of you are that way, then you're going to dig this big time. And if you are more of an artsy type like myself, you might laugh at how much you don't want to do it, which has kind of been my experience. I've been like, oh my gosh, like I just don't want to do this. This is so detailed and it seems really hard, but I'm telling you, he's got some great ideas, and I'm gonna take this challenge on because I've definitely had some insights about myself and my own habits, including habits of mind and my mindset, and that he's informing a lot. And one thing he's really big on is service. Is high performers achieve not for themselves but to be of service. I really like that. So check this out. This is the High Performance Habits Planner from Brendan Burchard. Again, everything will be linked to in the show notes. Now, that's if you want to sit down with a pen and paper, and many people do not. And if you are one of them, I have some other options for you that might be a little more unusual. So we all know about meditation, and we know about exercise and how important that is. If you are trying to become an early morning riser and you're not one of the most important things to do is to see the sun first thing in the morning. So even if you don't want to exercise, going outside and literally looking straight at the sun with your sunglasses off can help reset your body clock, as will eating. Another thing people don't really know about is the importance of what I call state shifting. So if you can go from hot to cold or cold to hot, so taking a cold shower or hopping in a hot tub, that can help reset your body clock, and it signals to your body, we're doing something different than what we were doing before. We're not sleeping now, we're awake. It also will help you go to sleep at night if you state shift. Another option here is just water, getting into water, getting in a bath. We all know a shower wakes you up, hopping in the ocean or a pool if you have one. Even just going and standing on the wet ground with your bare feet is a really lovely morning routine. And that was mine for a very long time when my kids were like babies, was just, breastfeeding, holding them, walking out there, stand on the ground. Okay, I got to go back inside and get to work. All right, now let's talk about meditation. Again, this is sort of a grab bag of fun little tricks and hacks and tools for you. So I'm not going to go in depth about the benefits of meditation, types of meditation. I'm not going to guide you through one. Instead, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things, which is wearables and metrics. I love quantified self stuff. It really appeals to my geeky little post-academic heart. So I want to share with you 2 wearables that are really interesting for meditation people. Even if you're not one, this can help you become one. So apps are fantastic. I love Headspace. I love Insight Timer. Waking Up from Sam Harris is great. There's so many good ones. Elevate, Yoga Glow, 2 clients of mine. Really, the list is endless. And what I love is being able to track my progress. When I fall off the wagon, I'm very motivated by seeing my results and having a sense that I am moving the needle in terms of my capacity for mindfulness and meditation. So this here is called the Muse Headset. The Muse Headset it's more like a headband. These are not headphones. It wraps around your forehead. It has sensors inside that actually measure your brainwaves. It hooks over your ears. And you listen to meditations on the app, or you can just have it be, kind of a blank canvas, no sound, or rainforest sound, ocean sound. And it gives you feedback on your current state of mind. So basically it's your calmness. And I'm not sure exactly how it calculates your calmness, but it will let you listen to little tweets of birds the calmer and calmer you get. So you're getting that immediate feedback like, okay, now this is a calm state. You also will hear kind of some stormy weather come in when your mind is really busy and active. And then you get scores. So I know this is sort of counter to the idea of meditation in many ways, which is not about competition. But I do think that there's something about personal mastery and just knowing kind of once you can match the feeling of calm that it reflects at you, you can better know how to get there quickly. And I have definitely found that that's the case. So every, few times a year, I will pull it back out and I'll do a few weeks of Muse meditations just to check and see how I'm doing and refresh my memory. I love that one. This one's new. This one is my new toy. Another one of my new toys. And this one is from a company called HeartMath. It's actually measuring something called your HRV, your heart rate variability, which is a key metric that reflects general wellness overall. And what it's looking for is, can you get into coherence between your heartbeat and your breathing? So it clips onto it's a little teeny tiny clip. It's very gentle. It clips onto your earlobe. And with Bluetooth, it speaks to your phone. And you watch a little visualization. It's very similar to what you might see on an Apple Watch, some guided breathing. But it also is giving you feedback on, are you in what they call coherence? Is there a coherence and alignment between your heartbeat and your breathing? And the instructions are to breathe with your heart and to really tap into a positive regenerative feeling such as compassion, peace, love, and then to beam it back out. And I found this to be immediately effective. You don't even need the wearable to do this. It's just a fun extra tool if you're interested in, metrics and tracking your progress, but you really don't need it. I think that this heart-centered breathing and coherence meditation is a really great form. It makes a big immediate difference in your. All right, one thing I will mention that's not technically a meditation, but I guess you could consider it in that same camp, is tapping. Now, I used to think tapping was a totally kind of witchcraft guru, not sure if it's really a real thing, but I was encouraged by a therapist to give it a try. There is a great tapping app, I think it's called the Tapping Solution. I will link to it in the show notes, where you're actually tapping on various parts of your face and your neck and your hand in a certain order while you say certain words, depending on what the issue is that you're tapping about. And it does provide a physiological shift, and somehow it helps your brain to work through issues that maybe have getting you stuck. So you can feel an immediate difference from that as well. And it's also very fast. Whew, lots of interesting, weird things there. So I hope that you can give some new stuff a try. Whenever you want to inject some new inspiration in, you can plug in a new one of these tools. As you know, I talk here largely about mindset. And mindset is really about how am I being? I emphasize being because we live in a very doing-oriented culture. And especially in corporate America, we are do focused. We're very focused on activity and what can we get done, and quote productivity and quote efficiency. And yet, if we are approaching our doing from a mindset that is non-conscious or is based in scarcity or self-criticism or judgment, then whatever it is that we're doing is going to create dynamics that may not be aligned with our highest values or self. So the morning is an opportunity to get intentional about who do I want to be by the end of the day? Who do I want to be in 10 years? Who do I want to be tomorrow? And probably the most important way of being is being present. We're not present when we're focused on what am I going to do later? Doing. We're often very much focused on the future and making up a whole bunch of stories about how our activity is going to create results, and it may or may not. And that's having us leave the present. So if I have one recommendation, it's to focus your morning on you cultivating a way of being that is present. And what does it mean to be present? It means to be in ease and in flow, aware and grounded in current reality, by which I mean that which you can readily observe, not a bunch of interpretations and stories and kind of future thinking and past thinking. So instead of diving into a bunch of doing and getting a bunch of work done and doing a bunch of emails, just create some space for yourself to focus on your way of being and your presence, and think about, now, what would I be doing in that space that would cultivate that way of being that I most want? And for you, it could be that the way of being you want is present and energized, or present and creative, present and loving, present and focused. But whatever it is, there are so many different ways that you can support yourself, and it can actually be really, really fun. The key thing here is mindset. It's not about getting done a bunch of habits that some other guru online told you are good to do. I'm going to share with you some of my favorite tools and hacks and tricks and just the stuff I'm into now, because I think it's very useful to have variety and inspiration. And also to give you permission to continue to play and experiment and make this morning mindset time a time of self-discovery and expansion. But it's not because any of these tools is in and of itself important, or that it means anything exactly what you choose to do in the morning. So set yourself free from the idea that the morning routine is about completing a to-do list, and focus instead on, have I cultivated a mindset? Have I cultivated my own presence? And that is how to make the morning routine something that supports you as a conscious leader, and not one who feels guilty, ashamed, or behind for not doing it the same as some book tells you to do it. I really am so curious about this topic, and I would like to hear what's worked for you and what you've noticed as a result. I can say for myself that one of the biggest benefits of just being intentional about what my morning includes is that I find myself more above the line throughout the day. I have a story that this is in part because I have claimed my role as the creator of my day. And I've established that with making choices in the morning that I then executed on. So I'm connecting my intention with my action. And my mindset tends to be more proactive, more creative. My presence is higher, my energy is higher, and I'm more calm, and I'm more inspired. These are the biggest benefits I'm personally looking for: energy, clarity, inspiration. And there are so many ways to find it. I'd love to hear what works for you. Some other time I'll talk to you about my meditation studio space, and it's a little shed in the backyard. I'm very fortunate to have that, and the role that's played for me. If you want to see some pictures, reach out and I'll throw some up on Instagram for you. I hope this was a fun episode for you. Please share your morning routines with me, and remember that the only person who can create you as a conscious leader is you, and it does start first thing.